Every day, people wonder why the wealthy seem to move through life with an ease that others struggle to find. They ask themselves, what do they know that I don't? What do they do that I have yet to discover? The truth is not locked in hidden formulas or secret handshakes. It is found in the way they train their minds. Earl Nightingale understood that wealth is never an accident. It is the result of thought, discipline, and vision. The wealthy are not governed by chance or circumstance. They live by laws that are as real as gravity, laws that anyone willing to learn and apply can use to transform their life. And these laws begin in the mind, in the thoughts you allow to take root, the beliefs you choose to hold, the habits you permit to guide your days. What you are about to hear is not theory. It is not speculation. It is the distillation of a lifetime of study, reflection, and proof, spoken by a man whose words have reshaped the destiny of millions. If you listen carefully, you will discover that the line separating the successful from the unsuccessful is not as wide as you think. The difference lies in training, the deliberate shaping of one's inner world until it aligns with the outer results you desire. So set aside distraction, quiet the noise. For the next hour, step into the same mental workshop where countless men and women have found the blueprint to wealth, freedom, and mastery. The words you are about to hear are not entertainment, they are a key. And if you choose to use that key, you will never think about success in the same way again. And now, we begin.
Train your mind for wealth, and wealth will begin to train itself to find you. This is not poetic conjecture. It is a law, just as real and binding as gravity. We are born into a world governed by invisible laws, not laws made by man, but those discovered by men who dared to think. The problem is, most people don't think, not really. They react, they conform, they follow the crowd down the well-worn road, never questioning why 95 out of every 100 men retire at 65, either broke or dependent on others. You see, the average man has no idea that his mind is a tool, a reservoir of power, a soil in which riches of every kind can grow, but the mind, like the land, doesn't care what you plant in it. Plant seeds of fear and fear will sprout. Plant seeds of doubt and your world will become small and suffocating. But plant seeds of faith, vision, and deliberate thought, and the harvest becomes limitless. The truth is this: wealth begins not with effort, but with awareness. Before gold is mined, it must be believed to exist. Before any fortune is built, it must first be visualized in the mind of one who dares to want more, and the one who dares to want more must take on the burden of responsibility, for he is now an architect, no longer a drifter. To live in abundance, one must first master the blueprint. That blueprint is thought. That blueprint is belief. That blueprint is purpose. And nothing on earth, not circumstance, not criticism, not poverty, can stop the man who holds that blueprint with unwavering faith. Wealth is not something we chase, it is something we attract by the person we become. But to become that person, we must train the mind to think in alignment with wealth. Most men have been taught to fear money, to despise it, to speak of it only in whispers or complaints. Yet they spend their entire lives working for it, worrying about it, and secretly hoping for more. Isn't that strange? To be ashamed of what you simultaneously crave? It is not money that is the root of all evil, it is ignorance about money. The mind left untrained will inherit the fears of the masses. It will believe what it hears most often, not what is true. And what it hears most often is that wealth is reserved for the lucky, the ruthless, or the born elite. That is a lie. The truth is this: wealth is reserved for the deliberate, for the man or woman who decides with full conviction that they will rise above the average and pay the price of thinking differently. That price may be solitude. It may be discipline. It may be the discomfort of stretching beyond what you've known. But once paid, the reward is great. The reward is a mind that no longer trembles at bills, at setbacks, at lost time or lost opportunities. The trained mind sees opportunity in drought. It hears the silence of chance when others only hear the noise of risk. And through that vision, it draws wealth like iron draws the compass. Now let's be clear. Training the mind is not a one-time exercise. It is a practice, a daily discipline that reshapes the contours of our inner world. Just as a field must be tilled again and again, our minds must be cultivated with intention. That means what you read, what you say, what you visualize, and what you allow into your awareness. These are your tools. If you spend your days listening to complaints, to fear-mongering, to gossip, then do not be surprised when your life becomes a reflection of those same low-frequency energies. Your life is your mind turned outward, so train it with care. Read works that inspire. Repeat affirmations that realign your inner compass. Speak only what you wish to manifest. Guard your gates, for the untrained mind is open to invasion, and the invaders come dressed in the garments of entertainment, distraction, and cynicism. But the trained mind walks calmly through storms. It sees setbacks as setups. It hears the voice of doubt, but it does not obey. It is not immune to fear. It simply knows that fear is a poor master and an even worse prophet, so it listens but does not yield. I want you to understand something deeper now. There is no such thing as wealth without service, and there is no such thing as service without thought. The great tragedy is that so many people work hard day after day, year after year, but they never stop to ask, am I serving in a way that creates value? You see, the marketplace rewards only one thing: value, and value is born in the mind. The trained mind sees problems and becomes obsessed with solving them. It creates solutions. It builds bridges. It adds something to the world that was missing, and for that, wealth becomes a byproduct. But the untrained mind waits to be told what to do. It avoids responsibility. It fears initiative, and so it earns just enough to survive, but never enough to thrive. If you want to increase your income, increase your service. If you want to increase your service, increase your thinking. Train your mind not to ask, how can I get more, but how can I give more? That is the law. Say it with me. I am one with wealth and wisdom, free of fear and doubts. If you can train your mind to think in alignment with service, abundance follows. It has no choice, because the universe, and yes, I mean that quite literally, operates by law, not chance, not chaos, but law. For every action there is a reaction. For every seed there is a harvest. For every thought there is a manifestation. So begin today to sow different thoughts. Do not wake up and grab your phone and scroll through the endless avalanche of opinion and distraction. Begin your day with silence, with clarity, with vision. Speak your affirmation aloud. Carry a goal card in your pocket. Read your purpose to yourself in the mirror. Think deliberately. Speak intentionally. Walk as one who is already wealthy, not because you have the bank account, but because you have the blueprint. Remember, money is not the goal. Freedom is. Growth is. Mastery is. Money is only a measuring stick, a reward for contributing to the system with excellence and thought. The trained mind doesn't chase the reward. It becomes the kind of mind that the reward chases. And when that happens, everything changes. Now you may be asking, what if I've never had wealth? What if I've always struggled? What if my parents struggled and their parents too? Let me tell you something that may change your life. Wealth is not inherited. It is reprogrammed. It is built in the mind before it is ever built in the world. If you were raised around poverty, doubt, fear, or limitation, you did not choose those thoughts, but now you must choose to rise above them. You must train your mind like a soldier trains his body, deliberately, relentlessly, and with no tolerance for weakness. That means you must become aware of the thoughts that do not serve you. Write them down, replace them, repeat new ones until they take root. This is not magic. This is neurobiology. What you repeat, you believe. What you believe, you expect. What you expect, you create. The cycle is unstoppable once you commit to it fully. So begin now, not tomorrow, not next week, now. If you want to know who you will be 5 years from now, look at what you're feeding your mind today. That's the law. Not opinion, law. If you want to be rich, think like the rich. Read what they read, do what they do, believe what they believe, and most importantly, train your thoughts the way they train theirs. Because success leaves clues, but only the trained mind sees them. The untrained mind walks past opportunity every day and calls it luck. It hears wisdom and calls it cliché. It sees greatness and calls it arrogance. But the trained mind? It knows that what we admire in others is a reflection of what we are called to develop in ourselves. So admire greatly, expect boldly, dream dangerously, and train daily. Because the mind, like any powerful force, will serve you or destroy you depending on how well you command it. Most people live reactively. They respond to conditions, they complain about the weather, about the economy, about their boss, about their upbringing. But the trained mind doesn't live in reaction, it lives in creation. It doesn't complain about conditions, it creates new ones. This is why some people rise no matter where they start, and others sink no matter how much they're given. It is not the conditions, it is the conditioning, and conditioning begins with thought. So train your thoughts to become your allies, not your enemies. Speak only what you wish to be true. Think only what you wish to become. Hold your mind in a posture of victory, of vision, of relentless belief. And as you do, the world will begin to mirror back to you the person you've become. For this is a law: you do not get what you want, you get who you are. Train your mind to become the person who has already won. When a man changes his thinking, he changes his world. This is not philosophy, it is fact. Everything you experience, everything you touch, taste, earn, build, or become begins with the architecture of thought. The wealth you desire, the confidence you crave, the mastery you aim for, they begin as ideas. That is why the mind must be guarded, directed, and trained with more discipline than we apply to our bodies, our work, or our habits. You would not build a home without a blueprint. You would not attempt a voyage without a map. And yet most people attempt to build their lives day after day without any conscious design of thought. They wonder why their results are chaotic, inconsistent, fragile. But I'll tell you this, the life you have is the result of the thoughts you've entertained most often. So if you want to change the life, begin with the cause, begin with the inner image, begin with the mental dialogue, begin with the blueprint, and hold it until the world catches up to the vision. This is not optional, this is not a suggestion, this is the law. And those who learn to obey this law bend reality to meet their vision, while those who ignore it are bent and broken by the currents of randomness and regret. You do not need to be brilliant to be wealthy. You do not need to be born into privilege or possess the perfect network of connections. What you need is a trained mind, a mind that no longer believes the lies of limitation, a mind that has been taught slowly and patiently that it is the source of everything that will ever exist in your outer world. It takes no genius to build a fortune, but it does take vision, and vision is nothing more than focused imagination under mental control. The mind, untrained, is like a wild horse. It runs toward fear. It gets spooked by shadows. It reacts to the crowd. But the trained mind, it is the charioteer. It is the master. It does not wait for perfect conditions because it creates them. The man who trains his mind no longer waits to be motivated. He wakes up each morning and steps into the version of himself that already has what he seeks. And because he lives that way long enough, the world cannot help but conform. It must. Because thoughts held long enough and believed strongly enough must become reality. That is not mysticism. That is mechanics. Hold the image, act on the image, persist in the image, and the result becomes inevitable. Let us not confuse effort with direction. The untrained mind believes that working harder is the same as working effectively. It is not. A man can run 100 miles in the wrong direction and end up farther from his goal than he was when he started. And yet we applaud effort without alignment. We celebrate struggle without clarity. But the man who trains his mind, he pauses, he reflects, he decides what he wants, where he's going, and why it matters. Then and only then does he begin to move. And once he begins, he moves with calm power, unhurried, unshaken, unbothered by distractions or noise. He knows where he's going, he knows why it matters, and he has trained his mind to stay loyal to that path no matter what. You see, most people are tired not because they've worked too hard, but because they've thought too scattered. Their minds jump from fear to fantasy, from doubt to distraction, from worry to wishing. That is exhausting. But the trained mind is focused, clear, centered. It has one goal, one destination, and because of that, it moves with the power of 1,000 untrained minds. If you do not direct your thoughts, the world will. You'll think what the news tells you to think. You'll worry about what the crowd tells you to worry about. You'll adopt the fears of your neighbors, the doubts of your coworkers, the expectations of your family, and before long, you won't even recognize the voice in your own head. It will not be yours. It will be the echo of 100 other voices you never asked for. That's what happens when we leave the mind open and unguarded. But you have a choice. You can take it back. You can reintroduce yourself to your own voice. The one that dreamed when you were young. The one that believed when the world hadn't yet shaped you. You can wake it up. And you do that by training your thoughts. Repetition, affirmation, stillness, study. These are not rituals for the weak. They are disciplines of the strong. They are tools used by every man or woman who has ever created something of value. So start today. Refuse to let another hour go by where your thoughts are not your own. Say it with me now. My mind is my sacred domain. I guard it, I train it, and I use it to create. Every man has been given the same seed, the power of thought. But not every man chooses to plant it. Some bury it under years of cynicism. Some waste it on shallow pursuits. But the wise man plants his thought into the soil of his imagination, waters it with belief, and protects it with discipline. That is how you build a new life. Not by wishing, not by waiting, but by planting one powerful idea and letting no force in the world uproot it. And yes, storms will come. Doubt will rise. You will be tempted to dig up the seed and look for faster fruit. But hold the line. The harvest does not belong to the impatient. It belongs to the faithful. And faith is simply this, belief held longer than fear. So write down your vision. Read it morning and night. Speak it aloud when doubt creeps in. See yourself already there. And continue walking, even when the road vanishes, even when the map is unclear, even when the world mocks you, because you know what they don't. The mind builds reality, and time is always on the side of the one who builds in silence. You do not need more information. You need more repetition. Most men read 1,000 ideas and live none of them. But the one who reads one idea, lives it, practices it, masters it, he becomes unstoppable. And the idea worth mastering is this: you become what you think about. That's it. That's the axis upon which your entire life will turn. Think rich, and you move toward wealth. Think bold, and courage grows. Think small, and the world shrinks to fit your fears. But don't just hear this once and forget it. Repeat it, write it, live it, because the untrained mind forgets. It drifts. It falls asleep at the wheel. But the trained mind remembers. It stays awake. It stays focused. And it steers toward destiny, no matter the storm. So train yourself to repeat what you want, not what you fear. When anxiety speaks, speak louder. When doubt whispers, declare your vision. When failure mocks you, repeat your commitment. That is mental training, not avoidance, not denial, but conscious daily declaration of who you are becoming until the world has no choice but to agree. Let us speak of time. It is the currency of creation. Every hour is a deposit into your future. And the question is simple: what are you building? Most people spend their time. The successful invest it. They know that 30 minutes of focused thinking can solve a problem that 30 days of scattered effort never could. That's the power of a trained mind. It multiplies time. It sees what matters. It eliminates the noise. It works less but accomplishes more because it works with clarity. So train your mind to value your time. Don't give your attention to every ping, every post, every opinion. Guard it like a vault. Direct it like a laser. And when you do, you'll find that time bends in your favor. You'll do in weeks what others can't do in years. You'll see solutions before others even see problems. And you'll begin to live not just busy, not just tired, but truly, powerfully, deliberately alive. That is the reward of mental mastery. And it begins now. It begins when you realize that your thoughts are not harmless. They are architects. They are builders. Every thought you allow builds something. An emotion, a belief, a habit, a result. So train your thoughts like you would train a team. Give them clear instructions. Fire the ones that don't serve you. Promote the ones that align with your vision. And most of all, be consistent. You don't train once and expect a lifetime of mastery. You train daily, with words, with silence, with purpose. And over time, the mind shifts. It strengthens. It focuses. It becomes a servant instead of a saboteur. And when that shift happens, the world will feel different. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Say it aloud. I am the commander of my mind. My thoughts build my world. I think with purpose. I act with clarity. So train your mind, and the rest will follow. You do not need perfect conditions. You need perfect commitment. Start with the thought. Hold it, feed it, speak it, and become it. Wealth, success, peace, they are all downstream from thought. Get the thought right, and everything else lines up. That is the law. The untrained drift, the trained dominate, and the choice as always is yours. Most people never stop to ask one of the most important questions they could ever ask. What do I truly want? Not what others expect of them,